हाल ही में खबर आई है कि अब 18 कंट्रीज इंडियन रुपी में ट्रेड पेमेंट एक्सेप्ट करेंगे और अक्सर हम ऐसी हेडलाइंस देखते हैं विच आस्क कैन दी रुपी रिप्लेस डॉलर एज एन इंटरनेशनल करेंसी। आखिर क्या होती है इंटरनेशनल करेंसी? क्या हमारी करेंसी सही में इंटरनेशनल करेंसी बन रही है और क्या चैलेंजेस और रिस्क्स है इस सफर में? वॉच दिस वीडियो टिल द एंड and I am sure we will answer all your doubts on this topic. But before we move ahead, please subscribe to our channel. Let's start with a basic example. Imagine आप टॉयज के डीलर है जो थाईलैंड से कुछ टॉयज इंपोर्ट करवाना चाहता है। अगर आपका बस चले तो आप चाहेंगे कि इंडियन रुपीज में पेमेंट करे, क्यों करेंसी कन्वर्ट करने के चक्कर में पड़ना? But we also know that the Thailand company will prefer payment in the baht. So you will call your bank will take rupee from you and give you baht, which you can use to make payment to the Thailand company. इस कन्वर्जन के चार्जेस लगेंगे and if this is a large deal, both parties may decide to trade in US dollars. As in, you will first convert the rupee into dollar, which you will transfer to the party at the other end, which will then convert the dollar into Thai baht. This deal will have multiple advantages, such as most countries have a liquid US dollar exchange market, so conversion costs may be lower. Because the dollar is a stable currency and there is a less of a chance it will rise or fall so much that either party suffers a loss between the time negotiations are made and the time the transaction is done. The key thing to remember is the strength and attractiveness of any currency depends on a few factors, such as the economy, and therefore the currency should be strong and stable. The country should undertake a lot of exports. This creates demand for its currency globally, and the government and the central bank should be comfortable in allowing free trade in the currency. Because the US economy had all these characteristics for several decades, it allowed the dollar to become the predominant currency used in global trade over time. अगर आप चाहते हैं कि हम एक वीडियो बनाएं ऑन कैसे यूएस डॉलर रिजर्व करेंसी बना, हमें कमेंट्स में बताइए। कमिंग बैक, हमने अभी 3 पॉइंट्स डिस्कस किए। लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड द थर्ड पॉइंट इन सम डिटेल and we will discover a catch-22 situation that keeps most economies from internationalizing their currency. Imagine you are an Indian policy maker in the 1980s और आप चाहते हैं कि foreign investors Indian share market में invest करें. During good times, this will lead to a positive outcome. But suppose things turn bad in the Indian economy. The foreign investors will sell their Indian shares, convert the rupees into dollars en masse and run. The rupee will tank from all selling pressure, adding to economy's misery. यही वजह है कि many countries impose limits on how much money can come in and go out on both the current account यानी trade and the capital account मतलब FII and FDI investors. Over time, India has removed all limits on the current account, but it continues to impose some limits on the capital account, even though these limits have been expanded over the decades. ये वजह है, आपने सुना होगा कि Indian rupee is not fully convertible. But if your currency is not fully convertible, it will not have much demand in foreign exchange market, which means not enough liquidity, which means you cannot internationalize your currency. Also, if you're not allowing full convertibility, it means your economy is likely vulnerable to external shocks. Maybe you import a lot more than you can export, and that's how the cycle goes. वो सब तो ठीक है, but now let's answer the question we posed at the start. How much progress are we really making when it comes to internationalization? In July 2022, the Reserve Bank allowed the rupee payment mechanism, which allowed Indian importers to pay in Indian currency. This was announced in the backdrop of the Russia-Ukraine war, where the idea was to import Russian oil priced in Indian rupee. Similar discussions were also held with multiple other trading partners. There is no public data on how much trade eventually took place over the rupee settlement mechanism, with media reports suggesting different outcomes. आपको याद रखना होगा लास्ट ईयर रूपी डॉलर के अगेंस्ट काफी गिरा था, which means that the Russian exporter had much more incentive to ask the Indian exporter to pay them in UAE dirham, which is pegged to the dollar rather than the Indian rupee. According to the government's economic survey, 88% of the forex market turnover is for the US dollar, while the rupee accounted for only 1.6%. The Indian rupee will be considered an international currency when we reach 4%, but we are some time away from reaching there. Remember that becoming an international currency does not just mean that we will get there slowly, it also means that we want to get there slowly. After all, becoming an international currency can be a double-edged sword. We will reduce our dependence on needing more dollars for our imports, but it could come at a risk of heightened volatility. उम्मीद करता हूं कि आपको ये वीडियो बहुत पसंद आया होगा और ऐसे और वीडियोस देखने के लिए हमारे चैनल को जरूर सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन को प्रेस करें। थैंक यू।
Investment in securities market are subject to market risk. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.